careful of those island boys. Little girl, use your head. They will tear you up like a paper toy. Oh, no, no, no. Yeah, 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 yeah. Oh, no, no, no.
Hi, I'm Amanda.
And I'm Rumbi.
Welcome to It's Layered.
We're in a long-distance friendship that started over 20 years ago when we were in high school.
We'll be talking about all things life, love, family, anything and everything else under the sun.
Delve deeper with us because in life, you know, Jine, my layers.
Oh, no, no, no. Yeah, 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 yeah.
Hi, Rumbi. How are you going?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm good. You're looking fresh.
You look so cute. It's like we color coordinated somewhat. I don't know if my camera's messing with me.
We feel the telepathy.
We're on the same wavelength. Wavelengthing. Yeah, so how are you since we last spoke?
I'm good. Fully leaning more and more into my role, so to speak, which is kind of tying in with what we're talking about today.
Yeah.
As a new mom. So yeah, some days I'm like, "Ooh, child, this be the ghetto." Then some days I'm like, "Oh my God, it's the most precious moment of my life." So we keep just going between the two feelings.
The ghetto. But we love it. Oh, what
yeah.
You're so right. And so, especially coming from where we come from, I think this is such a necessary topic. Gender roles.
Mm-hmm.
It's a hot topic.
Definitely.
It gets a lot of, people worked up, especially on the religious streets. It also gets people really, kind of
cultural streets as well.
100%. So let's just dive right in. As like this, then guys, we come people's also,
a lot of people are like, this is not even that bad. But anyway, guys, in our world,
exactly. I'm like, we just watched Women King. We feel like you warriors. We just slaying out here. Next.
Yes.
But yeah, I mean, let's dial it back. But do you actually know when you first realized you were a girl or that you were different from a boy? Like, do you have a memory when you're like, oh?
I think I've spoke about this before in our colorism episode where it was like you're playing outside and I was in the sun and they're like, you want to pick a hit? And my brother didn't have to. And I'm thinking, but obviously because I had to keep myself light and he could be as dark because that's not the end of the world. So I think then I started realizing it. Also like taking baths, it's like you're told to cover up, and be like a boy can walk around naked and a girl is like, no, you need to cover up. And of course there's reasons behind that, but it did make me realize there was things to cover or things to like that were different about me being a girl. Yeah. What about for you?
It's the same. Like I think bath time, because we used to, with my siblings, all three of us they're gonna kill me for just being like, sorry Dumi, sorry Sonia, but it is what it is. We used to bath the three of us together, like all of us. And I remember my dad would sometimes come and walk in from work like, hey guys, like, And then at some point that changed and it was like only me and Sonia, I think, or I became self-conscious or we would go on family holidays and at the beach, we'd just be like in bikini bottoms. Then at some point I started being conscious of my top and I don't know what kind of brought that into my head. But I remember those moments where it was kind of like...
Do you think it was definitely you who brought that in your head or people? Like a tete or an auntie?
I think it has to be both ways, right? Because you see and you also feel. So I think I felt it and I also saw it. And then in terms of responsibility, I think from a young age, it was like, you go help your mom cook. Like, if she's cooking, maybe I grate the tomatoes before I could actually...
You're in the kitchen.
I was in the kitchen already.
Yeah.
Washing people's hands. So there's also that aspect of it. So I think...
Yeah, after we chatted on parenting and what you just said about like washing hands and stuff, do you think it's a good thing being a girl?
Very late question.
The hesitation, remember? I'm guessing it's a no.
Well, obviously, I mean, it's too late now for me to be like, I hate being a woman. You know, I mean, too late now.
Yeah,
I think it's an incredibly layered question to ask because there's the beauty and the hardship of being a girl. I think being a girl child in an African household is a very different experience. And we talk about this actually a lot. And even with my sister and friends or cousins, how the boys in our family were given so much leeway. They can just do whatever they want. Their transgressions are more easily forgiven. They can, you know what I mean? But as a girl, the lens on you is just like razor sharp, you know? Yeah. And it's always so many, there's so many expectations. And if you falter, you are made to feel and know that you have disappointed. Whereas boys, it's like, it's
almost expected and encouraged to make mistakes.
Exactly. I think I mentioned there was a time one of my cousins fell pregnant quite young. And after her husband paid damages, we were asked to sit around, and my dad goes, boys, see what happens when you have sex, use a condom. Girls don't have sex. Like that in itself was very telling. Yes.
Yeah.
Very telling of the polarity of it all. And so I don't know if it's a good, can you even say it's a good, I mean, it is life. Like, can you say it's a good thing to be a girl? Like, boys, girls exist. I don't know. What do you think? Like, is it a good thing?
It's so funny because you think we've made leaps and bounds as a people, but I think when it comes to gender, we're actually quite backward. Because I remember even when in Zim, they had this just recently for Aurora. I don't know if you saw, there are these big billboards, protect the girl child.
Yes,
everywhere.
I remember.
Did you see? Yeah,
yes,
you see them?
I remember being like, dang.
Yeah, and my son was like, okay, explain this, protect, why girl child? Why not children? Why is it specifically? I was like, and I had to get into all the layers with him. Like, we, a lot of times if there's no money in the home, the girl doesn't go to school.
Yes.
A lot of times if there's going to be any form of abuse, usually sexual abuse, it's done to the girl.
Yes.
A lot of times it's like, there's just pretty much child labor.
And marriages.
There's a thin line.
Marriages.
There's a thin line between helping out in the house and then becoming the maid.
Yes.
Like, you know what I mean? Like, you're washing everyone's stuff. All these things. Education is a flex if you can get education as a girl and go far. I remember actually even for me with uni, and I want to come to Australia, my brothers were in South Africa, my aunts were like, kure. And it's like, what? Like, and it wasn't said from a financial point of view or anything. It was more said from a girl has to be like close
to home.
So pretty much you're going to be the carer for your parents, you know? Essentially, their retirement plan is you. Like the boy can grow up to not even care about his parents, but the girls always expect to check up on them to make sure they're doing. So it's like you feel that responsibility from so young,
very young, and you don't even, and you're bewildered. You're just like, what's going on here?
Yeah,
like, I get that. I think we talk about patriarchy all the time on this podcast.
Blame it on patriarchy.
I know. I think we need to get like anti-patriarchy, like sweatshirts or something made. But how has it shaped how you see yourself?
I had to unlearn a lot of these things that we just mentioned.
Yeah.
Asking my brothers for help when it came to cooking or cleaning, not expecting that I do it all. All the things that patriarchy stand for are obviously to the benefit of the man. So as a girl, I had to be like, okay, how do I fight this as much as I can in this space where this is so applauded? It's like, okay, how do I be me and not also be seen as being difficult, quote unquote? All those things. So I feel like patriarchy, it's in essence, it's meant to silence me, but it's actually given me a voice because now I'm fighting. I don't know if it's Woman King that's got us turned or Wakanda coming out, but like, yes, Okoye vibes, like get with the spear. Like that is literally, I see myself as so anti it that like, it's allowed me to speak. It's allowed me to question. It's
Yeah.
allowed things like this podcast to exist, because these are the conversations we are in and around patriarchy all the time, as you said. So
Yes.
yeah,
It's so true. I have to agree. And I think my sister and I were talking about the male energy and female, I don't know what the term is. And she was like, you have a lot of male energy. And I was like, okay. But I think similar to what you're saying, in terms of growing up and seeing that, and you're like, I don't feel different. Like, I don't feel like I should be lesser than. I don't feel like I'm lower than this boy or this. No, like I really had some delusion, I think, that I could do what a guy could do. I don't know.
Yeah.
And not necessarily in specifics like, oh, girls cook and boys in the garden, which already, I mean, we know it's problematic in itself. But really, just like, if he can go to school, I can go to school too. If he can do, I can do too. So I always had that. And in some way, I thank my dad, because I think I saw his male energy and I was like, oh, bet, like, you know, it's me too. And maybe passed on those genes. So it definitely gave me a voice. So I'm able to actually challenge patriarchy.
The system,
so it's like it's a sword. It came back to
sword.
Double-edged sword, but it came back to bite the patriarchy bullet. I don't know how to
completely. And you're quite right to give kudos to our fathers, because as much as they obviously revel in patriarchy, they saw that we as girl children protect the girl child. They still sent us to school, the same school that our brothers went to, which in some families you cannot say the same. So it's crazy. You know, what do you think as a female is expected of you, like, without, you know, as your gender, this is your stuff you have to do?
You cook, you clean, take care of the household, you make sure that everyone is comfortable, even at your own expense. You don't ask too many questions, you don't challenge, you are acquiescing, you are understanding, you are polite, you are respectable, you do not embarrass
you look
the family
presentable.
name. You look presentable. No geza, as we've said before. I mean, I could keep going. Feel free
you're
to add
everything.
So you're everything. You are everything to everyone.
To everyone.
Except yourself.
Everything to everyone at every time. Like, that's it. That, you remember you said it. Because, bruh, the pressure is getting worse. Like, it really is, like, oh my God.
Well, especially for you as a wife, as a mother, as a sister and an aunt, how do you see the expectations?
I feel like now that I'm a mother, it's like it's like, you know, when you have a cannon, like a bull, like those big cannons, all of them are firing now.
Yes.
Like, there's none. The mother one was just, you know, not doing anything. But now that I am one, it's like, oh, let's go.
One's also on.
Yeah. I feel like what is rest for a woman? Like, that is literally I feel like, you know, we talk about our bottomless brunches and spa dates, and, you know, like my brothers always say, you know, you girls know how to do a self-care day. And I think we know because we need it, like, to exist.
Black women need this soft era. Let me tell you.
So yes.
Go and sponsor a Black woman's soft era before you judge it. Because you're so right. Like so right. It's like we are perpetually tired. Have you seen how tired Black women are? Have you seen how tired we are? Yet we still show up. We still show up and look fly. You know? You're so right.
It's hard to explain. It really is. And the funny thing is, I know, even though it's hard to explain, I know everyone knows what we mean, because the moment you say to your brothers or your friends or boys, let's swap. Do you want to be a woman for a day? They'll be like, Jack. That's the first thing they say. And not because they're like, oh no, they know why they say no.
Yep.
Because they see us kumusha when everyone else is relaxing, eating a guava or whatever. We're by the by the fire, fixing dinner. They know. They know the privilege they have. They know what patriarchy affords them. So there's
So
no way
true.
they want to swap. And that's just the ultimate in explaining it. If it was such a cushy position, let's swap. If you think that there's no, let's swap.
Yes.
Childbirth is easy. Let's swap.
Yeah, no. Have you seen those childbirth and period pain simulation? If anyone has not watched those videos on YouTube, just Google men go through childbirth simulation, and the men were writhing in pain. But do you think these expectations should be shared equally? We spoke about from the cooking, cleaning. I think males, one of the biggest expectations placed on them that we've spoken about numerous times is to provide. Men are expected to provide, and that's
especially financially.
Exactly. So do you think that all the other expectations we've rattled off, should they also be expected of men?
I think now in the world we live in, where we're mixing our cultures, it's becoming very blurry. So if it was like, I'm expected to cook, clean, take care of the kids, and not work, then it's like, oh, okay, maybe that's a different conversation to doing all those things and then working 9 to 5.
Yes.
Which is the world, the Western world. That's what they do. So in a Western world, of course it has to be shared because like I'm also going to work too. The question becomes when it's not like in the Zim construct, for most times, women can choose to stay at home.
Yeah.
Then it becomes, should it be equally shared? And then that becomes tough. I feel like it should be. Alone? I also, yes, exactly. That's the thing. For me, I'm like, and for most times going to work is not that bad. But staying home with the kids is a lot of work.
It can be an escape.
Depending on the job. Yeah.
I works with children. And let me tell you. Yeah, no, for sure. For sure.
So, or even when you say equally shared, it might not be always 50-50.
Yes.
But don't expect me to do 100%. And I think that's the problem. It's all or nothing. It's like, oh, I never touch the dishes. I never change a diaper. I never, I pay the money.
And a simple tip for gentlemen out there, if you just try, do you know, like, it makes a woman feel good. Yeah. If you're on TikTok, I'm sure you've seen some of the TikToks of like when they see their dude like washing dishes. It's a turn on for a woman because it's just like it's a sign of appreciation. You don't have to do it perfectly. Yeah. You don't have to. Yeah. It's just an appreciation, and it helps a mile. If you just put in the laundry or fold the laundry up, like it just helps share the load. Like we're not expecting you to be perfect and like, but it's just, it helps. It helps.
Yeah. And the funny thing is the bar for men is so low that even if you just wash the dishes, oh gosh, to quote Sony from our Bow special, Kuvramakumbo, like literally, like that is what I'm thinking. Because like I'm like, whoa, you did this for me. Like, how low is that bar? You just do the dishes and you're gonna get some guaranteed, or get extra love, or get extra appreciation, as you said. Yeah. And yet, were you gonna leave those dishes? If you lived by yourself, you wouldn't. Yeah. So I feel like it's so funny when men protest, because I'm like, it doesn't even take a lot. For you guys. Not
at all. Not
even taking out the bin. Like
the energy expended on fighting the
exactly
so much more than if you just a little. But I think there's ego that plays a part there. But do you think that other factors like religion also help to really draw that line quite fine around gender roles and what men and women should be?
Oh, definitely. And I think people also cherry picking which Bible quotes they will take heed of. So things like when it's about providing for men, they'll be like, providing. And then they'll quote something. Yes. And if it's for women, it's like, be submissive, be blah, blah, blah. Then they'll quote that. So I feel like it definitely does. It upholds patriarchy. It upholds everything, and it doesn't leave women with much choice. We're pretty much stuck in our little boxes.
At all. And the word you use, cherry picking. That is the thing. But then people also like to skirt over the really strong women in the Bible who did incredible things. Where, you know what I mean? Like it's very much like twisted to serve the patriarchy. Very much. most of the time. So
I find that it's like one of those things where you will find a lot of single moms. There's more single moms who then carry the dual role of a dad and a mom. There's much more of those, whereas guys can literally have kids all over and not have any responsibility,
not take care of them. Maybe they'll be forced to pay some child support.
Yeah, exactly.
Maybe that's a big maybe. And then otherwise they're chilling. Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, we're talking about all of this. Do you support gender roles, like in terms of, do you think we should in a marriage have like you do this, I do that, or should just be everyone jumps in, or what's your thoughts around it?
I definitely think that it is marriage dependent. I think you need to know yourself as an individual and then know yourselves as a unit, a couple, a partnership, a marriage, whatever you are, because some things work and some things don't. Like in some relationships, the man wants to cook. That's the thing they're good at. And the woman is like, I can't even see myself, or I can't organize the household. You know what I mean? So that's, Siana. So I think it really is dependent. I think what suits you. And I think often what you've been raised to see bleeds into who you become. Like I think of myself, I don't mind cooking. I enjoy cooking, but not as a labor of you have to or otherwise. But it's also something I grew up doing and I guess grew an interest in. Gardening, I do not have green fingers. I was not in the garden. Maybe had I been in the garden from a young age, I would have developed that green thumb and, been into it. So, I am now a person who's not really into gardening because of the way I was raised. So do you understand what I'm saying? How it bleeds into you as an adult. However, I think it's good to expose children to different areas all the time. I think this idea that men are engineers and women are, I don't know, nurses or it's so dated because why can't they be an engineer? Maybe you're wired that way. Just you know what I mean? So I think exposure is good. And I think in terms of within a context of couples relationships, you decide what works for you guys. I don't know what you say.
Yeah, I completely agree. And I also think like, if you abdicate something like, oh, I don't like to cook or whatever, I think you also have to have a sense of responsibility around it. Like, okay, if my partner wasn't here, I could still whip up an egg or, you know what I mean? Because I find like a lot of times when people have these gender roles, they become so strict with it, where it's like, oh, I don't even know how to do, I've never done that. And it's like, no, you can't have pride in never having, at least have a general idea.
Yeah.
Especially if these are chores you do often, like cooking, cleaning the house, there's some stuff, okay, it comes up once in a while, you both have to probably figure it out. But for the stuff like cooking, and you meet someone who's like so proud, I will say it with his chest, oh, I never cook. Like, that is not something to be proud of in the year of 2022. Like,
yes, yeah.
So it's like, I feel like even if someone does prefer to do something and they choose to do it, there will be days when they don't want to, as much as you love it. So you then always need to be. So I do think it should be like you support each other in that way. Like, oh yeah, I can cook, tonight, even though you typically cook for us. Whereas I think in the construct of what we're talking about, a lot of times it's absolute. Like, I don't cook.
Exactly.
I don't touch anything.
And you never know what can happen in life. Like someone might be hurt and need you to step in. Like things happen. So it's also about having some level of independence no matter what. I agree.
Yeah, exactly.
So what are your thoughts on around non-binary? And maybe if you could define non-binary for those who may not know what it means to be non-binary.
So obviously we're assigned, well, there's lots of ideas around this, but usually your sexual organs, like are what decides whether you're male or female.
Yes.
But some people, it's becoming more and more common that you get born assigned whatever you assigned at birth, but you believe that you might not, actually identify with that gender.
Yes.
Whether that comes, I can't speak with so much gravitas. Like I know everything about this because I don't. But my understanding around it is that, you don't feel like you can be called a male or a female. Absolutely. So you choose to not
be non-binary.
Yeah. And I find it very interesting because this is something that is absolutely not in existence in Zimbabwe. So, so like, I just think if it is, I think obviously people like social media, it becomes more popular. But I think in the everyday Zimbabwean person, this is not a topic that they even consider. Like to them, they're like, you look like a girl, you are a girl. You know what I mean? You look like a boy, you are a boy. Like there's no, the visuals take precedence over what your feelings could be as an individual. You know, even we had that whole case with Caster Semenya, and then now they were looking at it like, you know, does she have more testosterone or things like this? Is that why she's running faster? She looks like a male and all these things. But at the end of the day, I think it's such a growing space and we're all seeking to understand. And obviously in the Western world, in Australia where I live, these days you have to tell people your preferred pronouns off the bat. You know, and then people have to refer to you as that. But of course, initially when they see you again, before you open your mouth, they will use visuals. You know, you look like a girl, you must be she, you know, but that might not be true. So I find like it's such, for me personally, it's something that I'm still, I believe everyone should be represented. And if that's how you feel, that's how you feel. And it's a space where I'm still growing and trying to seek understanding.
And I think why it's so difficult in a space like where we come from in Zimbabwe to understand, we are not used to giving people the room and space to decide what they want to do with their life and who they want to be and how they want to be represented. And so you're saying you can choose. No, I will choose for you. I think that's the main issue.
And religion comes into it as well.
100%. And my thing is how someone lives their life should be how they choose to live their life. Even if you don't understand, like similar to what Amanda said, I know some non-binary identifying people. And I respect them and that's their decision. I don't know enough. I'm still learning. And I think it's a very sort of, you have to tread carefully because my opinion is always of, if it were happening to me, if I was in their shoes, or just as I identify as, I identify as a woman, she, her, and someone is like, no, you a man. Like, come on, like,
how would you feel?
How would you feel? Like it's just from that basis, you don't have to be what someone else is, but as within yourself, if someone came and told you you are not what you believe you are, how would you feel? So I think it's really, really tricky. And I think people, this is why I say we need to expose especially children, to different ways of life and living, you know, because I can be good in one thing and terrible at another, but I may never get the chance because I'm just told you are a girl, so you are only going to do this, and you are a boy, you're only going to do this. I would never discover that. And think of going on gender roles a little more. You think of how many male chefs there are in the world, right? And they often talk about seeing their mothers in the kitchen, or grandmothers, and helping in the kitchen. Imagine if we're like in the kitchen, all the time, you wouldn't get the chefs. You know what I mean? And there are a lot of male chefs as a result. So I think we need to think of that too.
Yeah, we do. You brought up a good point, actually, because it makes me think of when we were in high school even. And it's like boys did woodwork. And girls did fashion and fabrics. But if you look at it, most designers are male. Most fashion designers. So 100%. Where did they learn? Fashion and fabrics. They obviously learned it from somewhere. You know, so it's like, are we limiting our kids too soon? You know, before they've even explored it. Like, there's no reason why they can't also do fashion, fabrics, and food and nutrition. Like, especially in the world we live in now, when there's so much to nutrition. So it brings a lot of things to the forefront, actually. Like, do we let this box define our lives way too soon, of which box to tick, male or female?
100%.
And now that we're introducing a new box, because it's going to be male, female, non-binary, or other, then what does that mean for our society? Does that mean everything is a free fall? Everyone can do anything? What would that look like? Then it makes you think, do you think we could all truly be equal?
I think as long as there's a desire for power in some way, shape, or form, just like when you argue about politics, when you argue about societal structures, I don't think we will ever be equal, because there will always be the desire for someone to be over the other, or to reign supreme in some way, shape, or form. So I don't think so. I would love to say we can. And I think people have this weird perception that equal means I want to be a man or I want to be a woman.
Yes.
It's not the same. When we talk about equality, we are saying that there's mutual respect for all genders, for all people in the world, that in the space you occupy and how you occupy, you are seen and respected in that space. So if I am a woman and I am going to be in an organization and lead that organization, if there are males in that organization that I will lead, they will look at me and respect me and take instruction and guidance from me. It doesn't mean that then also at home I'm shooting down my husband. Hey, do it like this. Do you get what I don't know. People have this weird perception of what equality is. And it's it's a
level playing field.
Yes.
It's not like,
Yes.
And right now it's not level. That's the issue.
Yes. There's a pay gap issue. There's the glass ceilings for women. There's so many of these limitations. Do you think we'll be equal? Do you think we can get there?
No. I think the system is built on us not being equal. I think someone said it. I think maybe it was Mad Men or someone was talking about like all these social constructs were done in the 50s, when women could start going to work. And things have changed a lot since then, but we've kept that same construct, so it's like even 9 to 5. Why 9 to 5? And COVID proved that. Why does it have to be those hours? Even, even stay-at-home moms not being respected as much because it's like, all you do is take care of the kids. Like, is that not a job?
And people saw in COVID, stay at home. What?
Exactly. Stay at home. Teaching your kids online. Like people were like, teachers, respect teachers, nurses, all these jobs that are typically female as well.
Yes.
So it was like, you can't do it, but you expect someone else to do it with no rights or less than, or not getting any compensation whatsoever. Yeah. So it's like, I feel like, because it's already built to be the way it is and it's not equal, unless you totally dismantle it and start again, it will never be.
I just had something fun to say. So my local GP at her offices, the nurse, he's a male nurse and she's a female doctor. They're elderly, beyond middle age, must be in their 60s, I think. And it's the cutest thing to see. Like, I'm just like, really. And for that age, I think about if it was in a Zimbabwean context, at that age, for that to happen, that would not happen, so I love that. So we definitely see it, but there's the system was rigged, as Amanda said, from jump, not to serve women. And for anyone who has not watched Mad Men, I pause this for a little advert. Please do yourself the favor. If you do not know, it's one of my favorite shows ever, except the last season. They really ended it like weird, but never mind. Let's be honest. If you could change your gender, would you?
This is a layered question. Layers.
Layers.
In a word, no, because I think females are so beautiful and I love all our layers and I think there's more to us. You know what I mean? I don't know. Sorry, males, but that's how I feel. But in one space, I definitely would. And that's in the corporate world.
Yes.
That's in the, as you said, ceilings that are put upon us. I think, maybe I should say when it comes to reproduction and kids, then I probably would want to at least maybe not change, but I don't know, find a workaround because I find that that's where we get marginalized a lot then. So you probably never get a promotion the day you say I'm going to go on maternity leave. It's like that's your ceiling. Wherever you've pushed in the amount of years it's taking you to have your child, that's where you're going to stay in most businesses. The respect you get when you're in a meeting and you walk in and you're a man, setting up a business, like all these, even just confidence with doing anything, bluffing your way through something, not seeming like a damsel in distress, all these things. I feel like it all works well to the male, for the male gaze, for the males to really understand that, for males to understand the things we go through.
Yeah.
I think it takes a lot. I don't think they would accept the things we go through. Like,
Amanda, you are preaching to life. Like in Chalet. Like, I think we've had tons of conversations about walking into spaces and having to assert yourself without being threatening. Like, it's the weirdest, wildest ish. Like, you have to be non-threatening, but assert yourself and get things done, but be a nice person. But like, you're just, it's just a lot.
And don't be too flirty, because then you'll be considered a slut.
Yes, exactly. Then don't be too direct, and because then you're a bitch. Like, all of those layers. Like, I think that is one of the hardest parts. And I think too, with motherhood and marriage, in terms of in certain environments where it's the expectation, you're expected to look fly, take care of yourself, and keep the house clean, cook, go to work, give birth, like go through pregnancy and give birth, and then make sure the kid is always looking healthy and happy.
And your husband too, as if you can't iron his own shirts.
Exact. Make sure you still look good for that husband. You're cooking meals too for that. Like, I mean. But all to say, I wouldn't want to be anything but a woman. I think we are fly as, like, we are dope AF. Like, many layers. And I always think about this, like, would I want to be anything but a woman, anything but a Black woman, anything but a Black African woman? And I'm like, no, even though we talk all the time about the struggles and layers of it, I wouldn't want to change it. Ever.
I feel like those layers give you depth and beauty. Yes. And without them, I would just be almost a shallow, I don't know. sorry, guys. We're just so, not to say other people are shallow. Gosh, don't come for me. But I'm just trying to say, like, sometimes through pain and through suffering, you see your true grit, your true power.
That's why women have this, like, you ever look at women and just go, wow, and admire them, because it's just, it's the X factor that women have,
Do you think it's easier to be a male though? Yes. Like, having said all of that in a word, yeah, I think so too. Especially once you get the providing done, once you get that job or that house, that car, what else will stress you out?
I think what's tough though is not being able to be vulnerable as men.
Yeah.
And to say Zrunetsa, it's hard, or I'm struggling. And I think that is a burden. And then that's why we see a huge gap oftentimes between women's sort of emotional maturity and men's, and how we handle and deal and with things, because they're never given that space. So I think it is,
but I also think that some of that can also be a bit of coddling, which ties back to how we were raised, like what you said. So the emotional maturity is also there because you've never been challenged to think past your little bubble. Because you don't have to consider other people when you're a male. Do you think though that that would ever truly change when it comes to emotional maturity, or
when they will have to, they will. I think life experience. So I think it'll take a long time, but when they have to go through some, and it's like anyone in life, when you have to go through some tough times, I think as women, we have to go through it younger and for longer. So obviously there's gonna be the likelihood that we will mature and grow emotionally. I think with men, it's when they have to. Some men are choosing to, some men are choosing to listen to the softer parts of themselves, and but I don't know.
I think ego also ties so much into it. So like, you're told you're the provider, you're told you have to do all of this. So if you're not in your household, then what? If you're stay-at-home dad, then what? You know, because now when you're like going out for drinks with the guys, or are you gonna be happy to stand in your power as a stay-at-home dad? Or are you gonna be like, hey, bruh, this is embarrassing. I'm not gonna go out with the boys.
Yes.
You know?
It's
So
deep.
I think there's also a lot of that being accepting that people's normals are all different. I think as women, we're more accepting.
Yes.
So if someone says I'm a stay-at-home mom, we're not like, oh, girl. We're like, oh, okay, cool. Someone's like, oh, I'm a CEO. We're like, oh, okay, cool. You know, like we can
Yes.
go for both.
Yes.
Whereas for males, I think they're still very much stuck in their boxes.
Yeah.
And when they're breaking free, it's gonna be a journey, as you
Tough.
said.
Very tough. What do you love the most about being a female?
Oh, I think our loving nature. I think our softness. Because even through the strength and the resilience we have, we're still, still have that nurturing side. And not everyone fits into this box. It's a generalization. Of course, some people
Yes.
don't have that nature, but generally, most times, the mix of our soft and our hard, I love that. I love the duality of that existing.
Yeah.
I can't be the mom and the dad in this house, but I can also enjoy my soft life. Like I feel like females can live without males. Sorry, but sometimes you males just give us so much stress. It's better to just be by yourself. But I like that through it all, we still exist and still find, like, we're still trying to find our own way, as opposed to just giving up, like, this is too hard, which I've seen a lot of males do. A lot of males are just like, then they don't even bother trying. But with us, we always have that innate in us, to keep going.
100%.
Yeah.
I love that. I love that about us. I love that about us. I love the beauty of women and how it shows up in different ways. Like, we're just beautiful, and our bodies, like, just our ability to influence without necessarily having to be like shouting from the top of the roof, like, you're gonna do this. Our ability to make things beautiful and soft and to touch lives, and our ability to homemake, our ability to do the most, even when we are at our least, which is also dangerous. Let's talk about that.
Yeah.
Our minds, just how we can think of multiple things and get things that, like, I don't know. I think I'm just in awe of women. I really am.
Yeah, man. This is meant to be like gender roles, and it turned into a female appreciation episode.
Because if we ain't gonna love ourselves, who
will? Especially as Black women, Black African women.
If we don't do it, who will? So girl, like, I love us. I really do. I really do. I don't know what else to say. I love the friendship, how we build community, how we fellowship with each other, how we...
Men could never. Like, that's just the truth.
Amanda's come. I did not say that. Please come for Amanda. That was not me. Men like to have their things too.
But women do it better.
As she said, she's coming for next. We came for next this season. But this is so beautiful. And I think we have such a beautiful... I've really enjoyed this topic, by the way. Like, I really love this. But as we conclude this beautiful topic, who's our Zim shout out for today, Amanda?
Our Zim shout out is a female powerhouse. Her name is Shungudzo Kuyimba. Well, her actual real name is Alexandra Shungudzo Gore. She's a singer-songwriter, a poet, and a producer. She recently won a Grammy for being on Angelique Kidjo's album, Mother Nature. So, yeah, man, seeing females just doing their thing. There's nothing more. I mean, Rimbi, what more do you have to say? Like,
what more do we have to say? We know that Eve was a female. Yes, for those who read the Bible. But this was a love fest for women. And shout out to Shungudzo. for doing that and doing so beautifully, and to work with someone like Angelique Jo and doing her own thing, like paving the way. I think that's what I love, paving the way, doing it on her own terms. So shout out to you, Shungudzo. Shout out to all the beautiful females out there that we know and love, you know, who you are. To our listeners, male and female, because we actually have a lot of male listeners too,
and the males that uphold their females. Can we give you a big shout out?
Thank you, y'all. Snaps.
Thank you for being our allies and for celebrating us and for seeing us, because in this patriarchal world, we obviously need 100%. The males to also push for us. So to all those people who see us as an equal and celebrate us as in our beauty,
we thank you, we salute you, and we love you. We will see you on the next episode. Thanks, Amanda.
Thanks, Rimby. Love you.
Love you. Bye.
Oh, no, no, no. Yeah. Oh, no, no, no.